Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to the eastern wing of the Stink Bug Works, where we have creamy goodness coffee. Yes, no more of that white sand floating on top. No, we have creamy coffee. Yes, yesterday I was going to try to sneak off and run this thing, but no. I had to go grocery shopping. But I have good coffee now and a dry boat. You know, the other day, my friend Terry called me. I haven't seen Terry in, 20 years. He was living down in Mexico for a while. And he used to fly airplanes and, got out of it and wanted to get back into it. And, he'd pulled some old stuff down off the shelf and was getting it cleaned up and ready to go. And everything was pretty good. But, he was operating on the old radios. We had gone past the colored flags. You had green and white and red and white. But, and we had gone to, there was, God, what was there? There was like 60, 70, 80 channels. There was a bunch of channels. And so he had radios in that era. And of course, now everything is 2.4 gigs. So he had to go out and buy a radio. And he bought a Spectrum radio. And it's probably the top of the line Spectrum radio. And when you power it up, it's like any modern radio. There's about 47 switches on it and, a couple of knobs. So it's got a real high KPD ratio. That's knobs per dollar. Anyway, I power this thing up and the screen comes on and it's got email, internet access. It's all right there on your transmitter. There's a cell phone without the phone built into the darn thing. Jeez. And I came from the days, my very first radio was a Kraft radio, and I bought Kraft because it was made in San Marcos. And back then, your radios were a metal box, with a handful of components inside. And for servo reversing, you had to change the servo. You had to get a left or right running servo, or, flip the servo arm over to the other side. That's how you got servo reversing. Dual rates, you move the control in one hole. That was your dual rates. Yeah, so his modern radio is quite impressive, man. I'll tell you what. The radio designers ran out of things they can put in your radio, so they hooked it up to the internet. How cool is that? I got this speed control in for the skedaddle jet. And this is allegedly a 40 amp speed control. But does that say 40 on there? No, it doesn't. But it sure looks pretty tiny for 40 amps. Look at these itty bitty wires. Let's see. These would be the motor wires and these would be the battery wires. We'll see if this can push two of these. Maybe not. We'll have to see. So I'm back in the groove. I've got my coffee. I can't go to the lake on the weekends because there's a bunch of fishermen there. Achoo! I don't think I've ever sneezed on video. That's a first. Anyway, I don't go to the lake on the weekends because there's a lot of fishermen there, and I just don't want to mix it up with them. So, and then next week I've got a bunch of properties to look at. I got perk tests. I may be busier than hell next week. So we'll have to see. Next time out, I'll run this for you guys so you can see it run. I ran it before it had color on it. If you go back in the archives, you can find it. Anyhow, that's about all I've got for you today. I'm here. I have coffee. Here's your slurp. Oh, it's still good and hot. Whoop. Anyway, boys and girls, until next time, jet out.